They say you can't have a life without a story.
Okay.
Which is why we talk about history.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just feel like I just had to put
Nice
that in.
one. You're fluent.
Okay, but seriously though, let's take a look at this week's highlights in history.
Okay.
We begin from September 7th, which happens to be today.
Okay.
This actually occurred in 1992. South Africa soldiers fire on demonstrators in Visho massacre. Now, soldiers fire indiscriminately into African National Congress demonstrators on the border of Ciskei in South Africa, killing 24 and injuring 150 more. The demonstration had attracted 50,000 people, and this was as a result of the memorandum sent by the ANC to President F.W. de Klerk, demanding that he replace Kozo with an interim administration which would permit free democratic activity in Ciskei. Now, as a result of this, the ANC organized a protest march to force Kozo to resign, and so many people were killed.
I think there's a movie on that one, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's made certain references in certain movies all the time. But yeah. All right, so let's do another one. September 7th, yet again, 1996, rapper Tupac Shakur was shot. The controversial rapper Tupac Shakur, we know him as Tupac, who had been involved with gang violence between rival gangs and had spent time in prison, was shot on the Las Vegas Strip. Identity of gunman, even till this day, is yet unknown. He died 6 days later at the age of 25. Born Lassane Parish Crooks in June 16th, 1971. Much of his work has been noted for addressing contemporary social issues that plagued inner cities, and he is considered a symbol of resistance and activism against inequality. So I guess today you're going to be seeing plenty of his, or hearing plenty of his stuff on radio, seeing plenty of his pictures on Instagram and all of that. I mean, he was an icon, let's put it so, for music at the time, and even up until today, there's still plenty of references that's made to his kind of music and how it's influenced music onward from that time.
Especially the rap music genre.
The rap, exactly.
You cannot, you know, there's talking about even his death, his being shot and all. There have been so many.
Each time I'm traveling, when I drive, the rare occasions when I drive, that's always the first song that I play setting out of Lagos. It's always, it makes a. I always play it all the time. I just love the sound. It's my best Tupac one, featuring, what's the name again, on that. But I love it. Love the sound. It's just nostalgic for me. You're still dancing.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize. But let's move on to September 8th, 1986, when Oprah Winfrey Show aired for the very first time the widely popular daytime talk show.
In our home for a number of years. Originally, I was named from the Bible by Aunt Ida, who named me from Ruth, the first chapter and the 14th verse, Orpah, but no one knew how to spell in my home, and that's why it ended up being Oprah.
Well, that's
really
look at the evolution between what she looked like from back then and what she, you know, the first clip. And I'm putting a challenge out to our producers to actually find our very first audition tapes here on Wake Up Nigeria. I'm sure mine is going to be the first one they'll find.
Yeah, but everybody
Don't do it.
Well, I don't think any of us looks much different from the way we use.
Are you sure?
Yeah, maybe a little chubbier, perhaps.
You are beautiful.
Aww.
Regardless.
Thank you.
Alrighty,
okay,
now.
so moving on.
1974, President Ford pardons Nixon. Gerald R. Ford, the 38th President of the United States, issued Proclamation 4311, which pardoned his predecessor, Richard Nixon.
You know, it's funny how some of our choices, especially while we are in authority, can affect us. It's quite similar to what we were talking about during the coffee gist. So just imagine 10, 15 years down the line, the guy is running for a political office, and someone says,
is it not you?
Is it
from
not
that
you?
Time?
You that sent her DM and tell people to send you.
You don't even need to go far. Exactly. You don't need to go far these days. Everything you actually put out there, whether it's you and I talking right now, or especially on social media, will actually have an impact on what people. Let's take a look at this.
It will definitely have an effect. Okay.
On previous occasions, my customary policy is to try and get all the facts and to consider the opinions of my countrymen and to take counsel with my most valued friends. But these seldom agree, and in the end, the decision is mine. To procrastinate, to agonize, and to wait for a more favorable turn of events that may never come or more compelling external pressures that may as well be wrong as right, is itself a decision of sorts and a weak and potentially dangerous course for a president to follow.
Okay, so pardon, president should pardon and all.
Who's going to pardon Trump?
Okay, in 1991, Mike Tyson, the boxer, was indicted in Indianapolis on a charge of raping Desiree Washington, a beauty pageant contestant. Tyson was convicted and ended up serving 3 years of a 6-year prison sentence. That's one that people still talk about today.
Up until.
Up until now. However, he's had a very good career so far, trying to come back again. And, you know, you just wonder why people make certain choices. You just wonder.
Let's see this clip
Charlie
here.
Steiner. Even though there was a change of champion this year in boxing, the biggest story by far did not take place in the ring. It took place in a courthouse in downtown Indianapolis, where the former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson lost the biggest fight of his life to a 108-pound opponent.
The satellite trucks beamed the news. Ticket scalpers were very much in evidence, and Don King was there for Mike Tyson's most important fight. Not in the ring, but in Judge Patricia Gifford's courtroom in downtown Indianapolis. Following the Clarence Thomas hearings in the William Kennedy Smith trial, the Tyson case would be pivotal in the way we view date rape and sexual relations in this country. Tyson's daily arrivals and departures became a staple of the nightly network news shows. There were no cameras allowed inside the courtroom, so artist drawings and good old-fashioned journalism would tell the story chapter by daily chapter. The prosecution team...
I've never really understood rape. Like, there's several willing females and even people who can get paid to satisfy you. So, why?
Yeah, well, he's paid for that. One of the fiercest moments in TV interview history was one interview that he gave on TV, Mike Tyson now. And the question was asked about the death of his daughter. And if you had seen, and I think I'm going to let you see that video sometime soon, the change in character and the fire in his eyes when he started talking about that, and his slow downward spiral into drugs, it sends chills down my spine. And I'll let you see that after the show.
Okay, let's take a look at this.
Oh, no, let's move on. We have to move on.
Yeah, we should.
So, September 11th. Now, as 19 Al-Qaeda members actually hijacked 4 passenger jetliners, sending 2 of the planes smashing into New York's World Trade Center, 1 into the Pentagon, and 4th one into the field in western Pennsylvania, resulting in nearly 3,000 deaths.
This, for me, one of the scariest days in the world. And it's one of the reasons I read about Osama bin Laden. I actually read a book about him from the point of view of his wife, one of his wives, and his sons. And, you know, the thing is, people who do things that people cannot connect with a human often do it with a good intention.
Yeah.
But the problem is, your good intention on the long run, how many people does it hurt?
Yeah.
It's a very scary one. It is.
I remember that day. I was actually on air, on radio, when it happened. And it was such a shock because nobody saw the first plane crash, but everybody witnessed the second one because you weren't expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
And then boom. And we all couldn't believe that we actually just witnessed that. Even it being on TV, it was still such a shock. And even up until the next day, I was still traumatized, I think, all week long.
Yeah.
So I think this week is going to be a very solemn week around the world, especially at these times.
And then ever since, and even before then, there were several terrorist attacks. And ever since, it just seems to have taking the world by storm. All over the world now, you see a lot of terrorist attacks. We have ours to deal with in Nigeria, for example.
True.
It's really worrisome. Yes, good intentions, but we're talking about lives here. It's important to at least have a thought for different families being affected by the people being killed. Anyway, before we go into motivational
I know, right?
talk, a little too early for motivation. I know that is coming up shortly. Let's take this break. We'll be right back on Wake Up Nigeria.